I'm a Star Diamond coach. I've been a coach for about 3.5 years. My journey started, a friend of mine had actually given me P90X as a gift to get ready for my wedding. I actually would have to put the workout in. I got halfway through the first workout and I shelved it for 2 years. Fast forward about 2 years, and I was at my wife's cousin's house. I had ballooned up to about 220 pounds at that point. I was at my wife's cousin's house, and then all of a sudden my wife's cousin says, "Hey, can you do any pull-ups?" I said, "Not really." He says, "Well, let's see." And he puts a pull-up bar up. I jump up on the bar, and I couldn't even get halfway up. So he says, "Okay, watch me." And he jumps up on the bar and he says, and goes, does 15 pull-ups without breaking a sweat, without struggling. I'm like, "How the heck did you do that?" He said, "P90X. I looked straight at my wife, and we got a pull-up bar on the way home, and it was smooth sailing from there. Not smooth, but all the struggles that we have. But so over my journey of weight loss, I've lost a total of 51 pounds. My wife has lost about 70 pounds, and it's just been a great journey. And being a coach and sharing our passion for health and fitness and being fit and healthy is just a good feeling. So and just sharing this lifestyle with others is just something that it was just drawn to us. So before we go into what I'm going to be talking about today, I'm just going to be going over the weekly recognition. For this week, we've actually had 207 new coaches this week. The top producers, and I'm sorry if I butcher anybody's name, the top producers, Wayne Wyatt, Todd Warren, Garland Woodard, Amy Silverman, Wayne Wyatt for Another Business Center, Kristen Amezquita, Josh Spencer, Jason Lingle, Natalie Dancy, Leslie Anderson, Ellie Artel, Mariana Rojas, Jenny Shavaria, Stacy Tennyson, and Tatiana Amico. And then the top sponsors, everybody, one had 3, which was Meredith now, and the rest had 2, which was Liz B., Sarah Brune, Nicole Tate, Brittany Garza, Leslie Moody, Brittany Rogers, Anne Van Der Eden, sorry for that, Megan Cullen, Courtney Huffman, Ray Daniels, Faith Ward, Helen Rosado, and Tracy Hines. Okay, so congratulations to everybody who were the top producers and the top sponsors. We also have, I think we're at now 16,274 coaches in the Empire, so that our team is growing. And we're going to be approaching 17,000 soon, hopefully by the end of the summer, by September 21st. So that's it for the weekly report. Now, what I'm going to move on, I'm going to go right into the presentation, and the presentation really has to do with getting to a person's why, but it all really starts with what we do as coaches. We help people get fit and healthy, and one thing that I've been in outside of coaching, I've been in sales all my life, and I got into coaching at a times where it was a bad time in the economy. It was a bad time in the economy, and things, weren't going well, financially and everything that was going on. And I work in the financial services industry. And at that point, I was, I was sick of sales. I really was. I got inspired to get fit and healthy. My coach approached me to be a coach. I really just wanted it for the discount at the time. And then, as soon as I signed up, I really wanted to help people, and it was I was still in that kind of sales mode, right? But something happened, and what happened was challenge groups. About 6 months later, challenge groups, were kind of introduced to, the organization, and it was really a way for, in my opinion, what challenge groups really are. It's really a medium to invite people, it changes really our paradigm. It changes our interactions from selling to inviting. I used to go out, I would tell everybody about P90X and Shakeology, and, I would just say, you got to buy it, because it's great. People would ask me what I did. I would say P90X and Shakeology and Insanity. And, I was still in that quote unquote sales mode. But what happened was when challenge groups came about, is that challenge groups came about and the invitation process came about, and it really took my business to a different level in order to, enjoy it more, because in the beginning it's fresh and exciting, but this actually gives me, you, all, coaches a method of, instead of selling, so to speak, you're inviting, right? So, and what the invitation process does is that you're moving someone through a trusting emotional process where you help them take a step to actually change their life. Okay? So, normally when I launch into the invitation process, there's normally 3 interactions that really go on, where you can actually, invite someone. So the first one is, a social media post announcing a challenge group. A lot of us have done it. If you haven't done it, it's a great way to reach a lot of people. And it's basically, you put a post out there. Hey, everybody, I have a challenge going on in the next couple of weeks. I'd love for you guys, if you're looking to, lose 10 to 15 pounds in the next 30 days, click like, comment below, or private message me. So that's one type of interaction. The second type of interaction is, if someone comes to you, you're talking out in the grocery store, you're wearing a P90X shirt, or, you're just having a conversation with someone at work, and the topic from their point of view, they're the ones who change the subject and start talking to you about, fitness or nutrition or Beachbody. That's a second type of interaction because they came to you without you, initiating a social media post. And then the third point or common interaction is, being proactive by working your contact list. And there's ways to do that when you're working your contact list where, you build a relationship with someone and then you transition into the invitation process. Okay? So the invitation is step 1, right? So you're inviting someone to a fitness challenge, okay? One tip that I give a lot of my coaches is it's not an invitation to a challenge group. Personally, a lot of people do it and that's fine, but personally I never like to invite someone to a challenge group. Why? Because people don't know what a challenge group is. People do know what a challenge is. It's like, for example, in one of the financial companies I used to work for, most people know that they know what a savings account. You guys know what a savings account is, but there was a product out there called Way to Save account, and what it was, real quick, is that every time you use your debit card to make a purchase, a dollar would move from your checking to your savings account. So a lot of the tellers or customer service reps would always be asking, "Hey, do you have a Way to Save account?" And people are like, "I don't know what that is." So you want to kind of take the aspect of, like, what is a challenge group? Because, right? And the way I normally ask someone to a challenge is I say to someone, "Hey, I have this fitness challenge going on in the next couple of weeks. Are you interested?" Based on the relationship building that I've done, it's normally a smooth transition to, them saying, "Well, yeah, what's it about?" Okay? And that's all I'm looking for. I don't want them to, know about, they at no point do they really know that it's, doing P90X, it's not doing, Shakeology, it's not, there's so many different types of challenges out there. So as I said, you're basically just inviting someone to a challenge, and the goal is to get a positive response, which in 99.9% of the cases, it's a yes. And there's a reason why it's a yes, because they don't know what the challenge is. So they're like, "Yeah, sure. What's the challenge about?" Okay. And that gives you an easy, sometimes transition into the next step. So I've gone over a couple social media, not social media, I've gone over a couple ways to, start an invitation process, whether it's the social media, a client comes to you, or, you're working your contact list. So here are some examples, okay? So when you're putting your social media post out there, in the example here, it's, hey all, I have a fitness challenge starting at the end of the month. If anyone's interested, like this status, comment below, or send me a private message. So when they either like, comment, or message you, the way that the conversation normally goes, and it's for me, it's the same almost every time. I shoot them a message and I say, hey John, how are you? They say, I'm fine, how are you? I'm great, thanks. So you like my status about the challenge? You're interested, right? And 9 times out of 10, they are. You know, you'll get those people who just like your picture or your status just because there's those liking junkies out there that just like everything. But that's one way where you can launch right into your challenge. Okay. The second way is, the client comes to you and asks a question. For example, Barbie, does Shakeology really work? Now, normally I don't go into a whole explanation of, yeah, it does this, I've done this, it's done this for me. Really, I want to know why they're asking, right? So I say, if they came to me, I would say, well, it does. Can I ask you what your fitness goals are? The response, there's a response, that's the response given by Barbie. And then I would say, well, I actually have a fitness challenge starting in a couple of weeks. Are you interested? So once they, give you their goals, you can then start launching right into, an invitation. And once you're launched into the invitation, in the standard process, finding out their goals and their why, that's step 2. But sometimes there's these little nuances, as you'll see in these slides, where, you go to the goal. In this example of someone comes to you and asks questions, you go to the goal, find out what their goal is. They tell you, I want to lose 10 pounds for my wedding. I want to fit into my wedding dress. I want to look good in a bikini. I have to do this because, I don't want to take any more meds. And then once they give that explanation, then you can launch right into your fitness challenge. Hey, well, I actually have a fitness challenge starting in a couple of weeks. Are you interested? Again, they say 99% of the time they say, yeah, what's it about? They kind of forgot the whole reason of going into the whole Shakeology thing and the question they asked. And you'll get to that later. So, and then the last one, when you're working your contact list, it's a little more, I don't want to say difficult, but it's a little different take, because what a lot of people or coaches think is that, if I'm reaching out to them, I don't want to seem pushy. I don't want to seem like I'm just changing the conversation. But there's this transition step that I use, and it's very successful. And you use what's called a transition phrase. So as you're forming them, you're finding out about them, whether, the family, occupation, recreation, you've dug deep into that topic, you can use a phrase like, by the way, or, I was just thinking. And what that phrase, and by the way is probably the one I use all the time. By the way can stop a conversation, make it go in a completely different direction, and then it would seem like a seamless transaction. Like I can say, by the way, I want you guys to test this psychological, test right now. Some people I've learned once before that if I tell you, don't think of pink elephants, first thing that you're going to think of is pink elephants, right? But the whole point of me explaining that was, I used the phrase, by the way, and then I transitioned into that little mini psychological experiment. It seemed to most people like a seamless transition. But guess what? I wasn't talking about psychology. I wasn't talking about a pink elephant. So my point is, by using this transition phrase into when you're working your contact list, it makes it seem like a seam transition, and you can go right into your invite. So the phrase that I use is, by the way, I have this fitness challenge starting in the next couple of weeks. Are you interested? It's very general, very vague, and it gets people, to initiate that. Yeah, what's it about? Okay. The last thing that you want to do, and this is very important because I did this when I first when the first 5 steps first came about, and challenge groups, is I went to, probably about 50 or 100 people on my, Facebook friends list. And I just said to them, hey, by the way, I said, hey, John, haven't spoken to you in a while. I have a fitness challenge group starting, and it's going to last for 90 days. And I do this P90X thing, and I'd love to get you involved. And I'm only looking for 5 more people, and all this, stuff. When the conversation starts to slow down, that's when you can transition into your invitation. Okay, so as I said, it really makes it more of a let me understand what the person wants. You get the invite, you get the positive step, and then you go right into the next step, which is really learning about them. And that's the most important thing, is learning about them. And the way you do that is you get their emotional why, okay? To me, the emotional why is the most important step in the invitation process. The emotional why, this is what I've written, is not only what the person wants, but is the exact reason why the person wants to reach their goal. Having the customer reveal this to themselves is what will make them move forward and enroll in your challenge groups. Carl Deichler had said before, if you want a bulletproof vest in, working this business, be a helper, not a seller. He says, in goal, that's your bulletproof vest, okay? In addition to that, getting someone's emotional why is also a bulletproof vest. Why? Because it's the exact thing that's going to make them move forward and enroll in your challenge. It may not be today. It may not be, within 2 weeks, but they will eventually enroll. It happens all the time. Okay, so I'm going to go through 7 questions that I ask my clients to actually get their emotional why. And the way that I've done it in a couple different ways. I've done it in a way where I kept asking why, and I could see how it could, maybe be pushy, So having these set of questions, and let me tell you, really, when you're going through this process, it's not pushy. Why? Because you're finding out about them. You're helping people dig up something that's been holding them in for a long time. It could have been within the last year. It could have been, 25 years ago when they were, 7 years old, whatever it was. Getting them into an emotional state will help them realize this is what I really want. Because what happens is we give people, and you'll see it in another slide, we give people, we can't change what happened in our past, but our attitude towards what happened in our past is what we do to help people, giving people confidence, giving people strength. Those are the types of things that help people, move forward and be able to handle all different areas of their lives. That's how we help change people. So, question number 1, okay? What interests you about a challenge, and what are your fitness goals? Okay, so once you transition into the invite, I want to know about their goals. So in some of the previous couple minutes ago, I just mentioned that, you already asked them their goals. So in certain situations, you would repeat their goal, right, and say, you told me before you wanted to lose the weight for the wedding, right? So, which kind of goes into the second question, but you just ask them why. Why do they want to lose the weight for their wedding, And then they'll start digging a little more. They're not getting emotional yet, but it's something that it helps them show that you're interested in them, and you'll actually get them to start thinking about what they really want. In this situation, what interests you about a challenge, and what are your fitness goals? And they're just going to tell you, a challenge, keeps me motivated, and I'm always up for, being, against other people, like in a race, and here are my fitness goals, okay? They get out what I call their immediate need, okay? It's their immediate, what's on the forefront of their mind. I want to lose weight for a wedding. I want to fit into my skinny jeans. I'm going on a vacation. That's their immediate need to actually say, yeah, I'm interested in the challenge. There's certain things I have to do. So that's question number 1. What interests you about a challenge, and what are your fitness goals? Number 2, why? As I said, why do you want to I'm just going to use the wedding dress example. Why do you want to look good in your wedding dress or lose 10 pounds so you can fit into your wedding dress? You know, this lets you know a reason why they want to reach that goal. It shows that you care and you're listening to them and want to know about them. Okay? Question 3. What's preventing you from reaching your goal? Okay? So this question, kind of brings to the surface, different things that are going on in their life, and they start thinking, is it my nutrition? Am I just lazy? There are a lot of different things that can be going on. So this question brings to the surface the reasons why they're not reaching their goal. It makes them realize that there is a problem, and sometimes there's not a problem. They're losing weight and they just want to join you on a journey, in your challenge. At this point, they still don't know what the challenge is. Okay, so that's question number 3. Okay, so far we have what interests you about a challenge and what are your fitness goals? Why do you want to reach those goals, and what's preventing you from reaching your goal? Next question, when do you hope to achieve your goal? Now, this question turns the time frame that's in their mind into a deadline in their reality, makes the goal more specific. I've done it where I haven't, and you'll see this with the next question, I've done it where I haven't ever asked what the goal, what the time frame is. So when I ask them the following question, which I'm just going to jump to because it's important, if you don't reach your goal, how will that make you feel? But if you have a time frame, guess what? Now is when they say to you, I need to, what's the word I'm looking for? I just gave him, I just told Jonathan that I told him I want to get to my goal in 2 months. What will happen if I don't? How would that make them feel? Now this starts to get them to open up. And some of the responses that I get, I feel horrible. I feel like a loser. They say some of these negative responses. And what it does, it gets them to start opening up. It's now you're transitioning them into a feeling, an emotion, versus talking logic. I mean, people come to me all the time and they say, tell me about this Shakeology, tell me about this P90X. And if I don't have them in an emotional state, it doesn't matter what I tell them. Guess what? Then they may or may not buy. It's not going to be up to me, but if you have that connection, what you're doing then by moving into this emotional state, guess what? Now you're building a connection. This is where trust really comes in. This is where a strength in a relationship versus you just being friendly, So this starts to, as I said, starts to open them up and is geared towards feelings versus thoughts. I heard a motivational speaker once, and he said, people buy an emotion and they justify with logic. Okay? So I can give you all the facts in the world about Shakeology and P90X and 21-day fix and all this other stuff. But what's really gonna make them move forward and enroll is really, the emotional part. It's like when you've heard the stories of, people sitting on their couches late at night, 3 o'clock in the morning, eating a dish of, ice cream and saying, I see this in Sean T with everybody with the abs and what am I doing? And they order off of an infomercial. Infomercials get people emotional. Okay? It's really a quote unquote third party tool, like the tools that we use. But if you don't reach your goal, if you don't lose that 10 to 15 pounds to fit into your wedding dress, how will that make you feel? I would feel horrible. Really? That's when you move into the next question. And this is the most important part of step 2. And you'll now see the questions because normally it's plural. And this is what moves them away from what they think they want, which is the logical response, to what they really want, which is an emotional reason. And these questions will lead you to the emotional why. Are you ready? Here we go. Why would you feel horrible? Or why would you feel and you repeat the feeling? Why would you feel horrible? Why would you feel like a loser? Like, I'm just curious. And you say it in this soft tone, showing that you care. And the key is you want to repeat this question based on the exact words that they use. And that's important, If someone says, "Oh, I feel like a loser," well, why'd you feel like a loser? Because when I look in the mirror, I don't like what you see. Well, why don't you like what you see? Like, you're a good person. And then they start opening up even more. And you will know when they start getting emotional, right? Not emotional like bawling out, crying. They'll just, start saying feeling words, and they'll open up, and all of this gushy, memory, sad, emotional things will start coming up, okay? And it's normally a feeling from their past, you know? Recently, just earlier in the week, I had someone say to me, what, and it was right off the bat, so they said, you know what, yeah, I would feel like a loser because I wouldn't have reached my goal in the next 2 months. How would you feel like a loser? I'm like, it's because I've had a rough year in the past year and a half. I said, why is that? Why have you had a rough year? He says, I lost a great girl. Right there was an emotional response. Okay, I've had people even right off the bat say, when I was in high school, I used to get beat up practically 3 to 4 times a week. Only on the days where the principal wasn't there was the days that I would really get beat up. And that's hurting. That's hurting, and that's something that people lose confidence over. So as I said earlier, it's the confidence and the strength that we give people. We can't change their past, right? But we can help them overcome their past mentally, emotionally, and physically, because you change on the outside, you change on the inside, you're changing on the outside too. But it's mental strength and emotional strength, and it's that confidence that people get that they can do anything that they put their mind to. Okay? And once you get that emotional why, and this is just outside of the scope of this, this presentation, but once you get the emotional why, you really do get the emotional why for 3 reasons. Number 1, the emotional why is really what they want. So I always tell my coaches, how can you help someone if you really don't know what they want? Number 2, it brings to the surface and lets them know what they really want. And they said it themselves, and now it's at the forefront of their mind. And number 3, when they come up with an objection later on, you remind them of their emotional why. Oh, I don't have any money. Well, and then you go through the whole logic of how they're overpaying already. Then you bring up their emotional why. Hey, you know what? You just lost a great girl. You told me you want to look like a model, and you want to, know what you're worth by looking good. They start to change, and there needs to be some time that passes, whether it's 5 minutes or a day, and eventually they come around. And then you can use the emotional why to help them enroll and change their life. So now that you have their emotional why, now you move on to step 7. Okay? Now you need to move on into the process of the invitation process. You really have to ask permission to move forward. And now that you have their emotional why, as I said before, you have strength, and you have, you don't have strength. You have a stronger relationship, you have trust, and you have a connection between the two of you. Okay? Once you have that, you ask the following question. Do you want to do this by yourself, or will you let me help you? Okay? 99 times out of 100, people say, I want your help. I'm here. Like, what do I do? And that's when you transition into step 3, and you send me ever feel like this video. So what does getting their emotional why do? Number 1, you say goodbye to objections, and you say hello to knee-jerk reactions. So what used to be objections, and you couldn't respond to it because they're logical answers, guess what? Now you're going to get the same responses, but now you can talk logic, because the emotion is the emotional why is at the forefront of their mind, and now they can reason through why it's a good idea to say, you know what, I spend $10 on lunch every day. 10 times 30 is 300. And then all of a sudden, you say, well, this is only $130. It's really not. I'm actually saving you money. I'm saving you $170 or whatever it is. Wow, yeah, it makes sense. Let's do it. That's how it works. So you can use logic to enroll them into your challenge groups. And as I said before, be patient because they want to do this. You're at the point now where you're helping them step over that line into success territory and helping them get exactly what they've wanted since the event happened, whether it was a year ago or 25 years ago, and you're there to help them. And I tell people all the time, as your coach, I'm here to help you not only, get the right tools and through the challenge group, I'm here to help you cross over that line and start you moving towards putting your past in the past and overcoming all those emotions and having the strength to do it. And that's, to me, is why you get the emotional why. And I always see, well, I'm not going to go too far into it, but I always see a lot of people saying about the whole objection thing. People they say Shakeology is too expensive, or I don't have time right now, or whatever the objection is. And I always say, well, what's their emotional why? They don't know because they haven't gotten it. So it's something that is done all over by coaches, or not done. So if you spend your time in step 2, that's how you're going to help a lot of more people. Actually, once I started doing this, I was talking to less people and being more effective. Okay, so that ends the kind of formal presentation. There's a question here. Is this all done over the phone? I've done it over the phone. I've done it in person. Mainly, I've also done it on Zoom calls, but mainly I've done it in Facebook chat. Why? Because I can always go back to it. People are more open to opening up, in my opinion, and they don't think you're being, overly strong to them. Doing it in a Facebook chat or an email, but Facebook chat is better because it's more back and forth real quick. But I have done it in all different areas, but the most effective for me to get through the whole, invitation process done through the 5 steps. And this is just a quick side note, and then I'm going to end the recording, or Barbie's going to be upset that I went over the 30 minutes. But once actually, you know what? I forgot that last point. So I'm going to stop the recording now. I hope this was helpful. Once I, stop the recording, I'm going to be open for questions and answers, and then hopefully this has been a very helpful call. So thanks, Empire, and I'll talk to you guys soon.